All right, Sunday morning, not even 8 a.m. I'm not gonna have to be there necessarily at all, but I wanted to get some footage. Hopefully it's not a practical joke. But apparently Sean had some help. It's normally just him. He had some help today under his insurance, where I'm not under his insurance, so there's things I can't help him with, and we've never worked together before, so I don't expect him to rely on me. And I also don't expect him to chew me out if I screw something up. So anyway, he had some help today, and the steel beams I think are coming out to the site like I was talking about, so I'm just headed over there and hoping it's not a practical joke sending me to the job site for 7:30 Sunday morning in April. But we'll see. Check this out. Well, got here and we were starting on cribbing pile 1. He gets off the ground well enough and gets going. I didn't realize he gets them in here edgeways too, so we're making as much height as we can for the piece. He's got them set out to the end tightly, and so you end up with columns and the 4 corners essentially going on. At some point we go to a solid layer or 2 or 3, I don't know when that's at. He's not lifting from these. This is what's going to support the structure. I believe the beams, they run long, and he gets his hydraulic jacks outside, and that does the lifting. And as you go up enough to add a layer in here, you do so. And then you go up some more and you add a layer in here. So you're never more than whatever it takes here, 8 inches or 10, to clear a layer and then build a layer. And then at the last point, when you're high enough, he just comes back down from the whole lifting assembly and probably throws a block or something underneath the ends of the beams out there, so they're held in position. And he can pack the lifting equipment up and head out and leave you up and clear for all the other operations. Well, first then he gets in here and finishes cleaning up the floor and the walls for you, but then he leaves it up on these inner columns as cribbing stacks. So at some point they got to become level. So once you're off the ground with a couple of layers, he's got different shim packs here to get that to be the case. And so obviously we got 4 stacks going already. We got the one we talked about that's going to be outside the footprint, and then there's this one here that he's working on getting a base for now. So let's see if we can't make a bunch of headway this morning. It's only been an hour or 2. It's probably not even 9 o'clock yet. 9:30. Well, gas company locked us out of that meter valve in the basement, but I don't know how the hell this is actually supposed to lock. Just slid right on over that hole. Must be built for a bigger style, and we have such an old style valve, it just slid right off. Then I took the plug right out of the end of it, opened the valve, and got a little, and now we can be sure that's there. That's the technical way to check it. So they came and remarked our gas lines. It must have been Sean's 811 Dig New York call. Mine had been painted weeks ago. Anyway, he saw the fresh lines and wondered if it's really off, so we made sure, but it's like one hand doesn't know what the other's doing a lot of times at those places. They came to take the meter away, made an attempt to turn the valve off at the street, turned and broke. So then they told me that, so I reached out, and then obviously they reached out to have that cut off at the road, which happened eventually, and we saw the digging. No one communicated to me that it has been done or anything like that, and then here we are today with fresh lines on the wet mud. So you want to just do your double, triple checks. Sean's getting the cribbing in for this closer stack, and that one over there, got the setups inside already. Making ourselves a little angle of attack after we figured out where the top surface of this is, basically. And I guess we're going to install our beams from out in the backyard. Zoop! He's got rollers that they obviously skate across until you are where you want to be. But he's telling me now that he's going to stop short of the front wall and not punch right out through the front wall. Because I got windows planned in the front. And I don't think he can be right in them with his lifting beams to where when they go away, you know, what he needed for clearance is now part of our window opening. I don't know if he was sure. and be able to do that. Or you know what, the other thing is that fucking front wall. I mean, we've punched all kinds of holes in this thing all the way around, Swiss cheese, and you start punching holes in the front wall, then all you've got are, you know, essentially you've got no contiguous wall anymore. That might be a part of it. I'll maybe ask him later and follow up, but what is this? So they repainted us and they dug out here. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Silly geese. So anyway, we won't come through here. I think he said something like we'll lift and then he can put an extension. He could probably like add a stick and be under it once he's up or something like that. I don't know. Which is another case of being able to take that thing down and out of the way before you set us back down. And so, because he probably wants to be, he's talking about being a certain distance from the outside wall here. I think his beam pocket would be like there, and our window starts here and goes to here because I want it visually aligned with this, not really federal style, but you know, as an architectural designer, the architectural you know, features of this home, it's important to me. And it's fine, they, you know, Georgie, Sean, his operation isn't focused on that. He's focused on getting the replacement of the foundation done and the lifting of the house safely, and that's fine. And so, we just all have to play together to get the final thing looking right and not egregiously. So, for example, the egress window, we're not going to do the cast-in retaining wall window well and the flip-down ladder, because actually, with the cast-in window well, you end up putting that thing in, I think at minimum 6 inches down from the top surface of the new foundation. And I'm just pointing here, but we're going to put it out back where he's coming in and going in there. But anyway, I don't want to see a concrete header across the basement windows. Windows, when you look at them, when you haven't hacked the house all to pieces, for each story, the top edge of them is at the same elevation. And whether they're shorter or longer and hang down further, windows are basically hung at, you know, the same line as your door. When you frame a place, you make all your jack studs that hold up your headers for doors and windows all exactly the same length. So when you stack them up and throw headers across, they're all at the same elevation. Anyway, ergo, your basement windows are a 3-sided opening in the foundation, and the top surface is right underneath the rim joist for the first floor, and that's what I want our egress window to look like. And so the cast-in system can't be installed that way, so that's not what we're doing. We're going to make an opening with 3-sided pressure-treated lumber, like any rough opening will be, and I will install the higher end egress window that looks like I think it's a double hung looking sash, but the whole thing actually tips and swings open. And then we'll use pressure-treated lumber to build our window well with tiers, and maybe they can have a little window garden in it. That's our little extension. Now Sean asked me what I spec'd out for the permanent main steel beam in here, and I told him what it was. I forget, it's 10 pounds to the foot. He wanted to see 21 pounds to the foot. That's what he said he'd do, and he messes with steel all the time. And honestly, I was blown down to hear him say they get in and pick up glulam and steel on new builds that were spec'd by architects and are already failing during the build process. Of course, not something average size. I'm sure it's a big whopping McMansion, you know, scenario, or in a lot of cases. But so, you know, story of my life. I grew up in a farm scenario, and we eyeballed stuff. You know, you have a good idea of what you can do with a physical piece of material, depending on its composition, from experience, and so you rely on that. And then you get out, like me, into the world of design, and you work with engineers, and you find out, you know, obviously things have got to meet certain specifications, and that's been calculated with math. So, and so I've weighed that 50-50 in my own life. But then, you've got people with experience now, and the architect and what he thinks, and so I think I'm going to look into that stick that's heavier, because he thinks it's a better idea, and at least bounce that around. I'll double check that we don't want a heavier steel beam underneath the house permanently, especially since, so we got two factors of that, obviously cost Availability isn't going to be a factor, but it's got to be, you know, muscled in or otherwise installed. And the stick that this is a wildly heavy lifting beam. The beam that I'm talking about having delivered and installed here is maybe a 3 guy, maybe 4 guy project, if you can be, you know, in one machine for the major power, but the rest of it. So anyway, if I can get the thing installed somehow as a heavier component, and we're better off overall. Like if we're right on the ragged edge of what's technically safe, or not, we won't be, but like if we're real close and it's no harm to get a heavier beam according to the architect, then that's what we'll do essentially. Plus cost factors in installation, so stay tuned on that one. And this is a good example here. We'll use the machine for the power here, pick from the center, and I expect Joe to steer. Yeah. 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 See that? He's got the center line marked on him. So you can always just sort of hook up and go. You're real close to it. And it's just a real nice setup for everything. He saw that coming if you heard him a mile away. At different points in the rotation, you've got better leverage or leverage problems. There you go. So we're working on things at their limit here with experience. And he'll keep that tucked in tight to the machine, to the center of gravity, keep it low. And, you know, he'll watch the front and Joe will babysit the rear end. Keeping an eye on the cable line and stuff too. I only just thought of that and he was already past it, so he's watching out on all that stuff. And I've been doing my best to apply what I know on a job site here. The same story as when you start in shop class in middle school and the teacher says you don't stand next to somebody running the bandsaw, you don't have a conversation with somebody when they're doing that. If you have relevant questions, like if you're in Joe's role here, and you have relevant questions, you pick your time when the operator's not distracted. You get in and get out with your relevant question. You bring something to their attention, but you don't jibber jabber. If there are blind spots, or this is, you know, a serious piece of steel here, and we could tumble, tip, and knock into the corner of the house and make a significant impact. And so I really want a Mini X about this big. He was saying that's worth about 40 probably today, you know. And I was looking at something online last night for 35. I like when the counterweight stays inside the footprint, like overall all the way around 360 degrees. It hasn't got so much counterweight that I clear the footprint of the tracks at points and bark up and smash into things. I like to see a machine with as much horsepower and, you know, stick length and all of that as possible, while the, you know, upper portion is still within the track footprint. And rubber tracks is nice to have. They are nice to have. So something like this is something I'd like to get outright at some point. And then if you've seen me with my backhoe attachment on my skid steer, that's about as good as it gets before you get a Mini X. I'd have a hard time doing anything like this, and I can't work from the position of digging. I can do 180 degrees. I can get to there and dig and dump, but I can't turn any farther than 180 degrees, which a Mini X can do. So there's that. So if I were to get one, I'd probably think about getting rid of that backhoe attachment for my skid steer. I'm pretty happy with the skid steer for its size and power. And once you get to know a used piece of equipment and stuff, you know, because you're only going to get maybe a less used piece of equipment, but still, it's an unknown and you don't know what it's actually had for service, and you may go down a rabbit hole again with a newer, nicer machine that still needs to have service and stuff caught up on or something like that, so you get hammered with extra costs. So once you, like I double my money in my skid steer since I've owned it, but knock on wood, I better not even say anything, but basically, those are my concerns. So get the rollers on there and then we'll shoot this baby in. So he's telling him don't be right down in there with your legs and that. You get pinned under it and you'd have to reset to get it off your leg. So because not only have we got what we need in this clearance hole to be level, we got what we need to go down and get the other end up over where you're trying to be.
Reach over the other side. Tap that roller back just a little bit towards me. Alright. Not a lot. Not a real lot. Guys, gotta go.
Your end's gotta go that way, bring this end this way. Right there. Yeah.
Let me know if you need anything. I'm just getting B-roll.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, you can keep it a little bit further. Actually, take that, slide both of them together.
Okay.
You can go. It's fine right there. You got plenty of room. Don't throw it up there yet.
Okay. No, and one more higher.
No, we gotta put something, otherwise they roll over.
Oh, I got you.
8-way, they roll over.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, that keeps them tied together then.
Yeah, just not that they won't roll.
Yeah, that's less likely.
We might need more than that. What do I have? 38.
Hold on, Sean! Let's see if it's rolling. I need to pound the roller. I gotta direct it towards the wall a little bit, so I need to pound this side back, right? I'm right at about 2'1" right now. Alright, we got another 2 foot to go.
Hold it.
Oh, that's good. Fucking
It might be
bad.
5 inches here.
3 inches. 2 foot freaking. Yeah. 5. You want me to pull the rollers? I'm at. Okay, I'm 2'4".
So he's right up and off of that roller already. Power of the inclined plane. Little things you don't think about, but he's going to be quite precisely located and dialed. The beam itself is a little bit wonky because it's secondhand. I think he said they tore apart a bridge to get it. In the case of this beam, he's got lots of beams, but it'll be dialed quite accurately. Probably a component of when you jump between this one and the next one, you really need them to be parallel at least, because those lengths have got to be at a certain point to bolt up. He's also going to fill in his lead in hole and stuff here, so that driving around out here isn't a fucking pain in the ass. If I had a hand free, I'd go get those roots right now, but they can sit in there and rot, that's fine. But cleaning up after yourself and placing things that look big and brutal accurately is still a component of this. Would I have him trim my kitchen? No. But does he know what he's doing here and now? Yes. Alright, beam 2, electric boogaloo. Managed to keep her from tipping this time. Every situation's a little different, so doing exactly that with those machines today on that dirt, yada yada. Tipped a little the first time, didn't tip the second time. Not a big deal about tipping a little bit, I'm just saying that when you are running machinery and stuff all the time, that's a little bit of learning that you're always doing. You know, I can show you guys that if you're not familiar. But that's the stuff that adds up over just decades, or even just a few years from knowing nothing to knowing something. That's, you know, machinery operators are expensive because every move you make is the product of everything you've ever done before, and making sure not to break anything, because it can do a lot of work, but it can also do a lot of damage. And it's teetering a little bit there, so. Didn't notice that little piece missing from the corner on the house before. I don't know what that's about. Doesn't look dirty, so I don't think it was Sean. Never noticed that outside corner just becomes wood. I don't know what the fuck is going on there. I'll get him over here, and then we'll see how that goes. Just gotta get turned. I'm gonna stay out of the way unless you guys need a hand. get it locked in the pivot. Can start it off here safe. There's me, well, he's still looped on it with a chain, but once you give it something to slide about when the chain's loose or pivot on or anything else other than hanging its full weight from the chain. Now these two ends can do things as the product of a long lever on a singular point far away. So you want to be thinking about, now he's back on the full weight of it onto the chain, so you kind of can count on, unless the chain breaks, you can count on it again, but as soon as you leave that weight off on something else, especially when there's rain and angles and mud involved. Ooh, getting a call. We'll be back.
Pretty close there. You got like 34 inches or something to block it. That's where they're putting the roller on it. Oh. On the middle crib.
Yeah, I got. Yeah, I can that. Yep. Okay. Back down to go that way, right? I got 30 inches.
Stop!
Oh,
He's got to go down out there, come up in here.
right there. What you got in there now?
Just come up in here a little bit. He's knocking shit over.
Oh, okay.
Eventually.
Right there, Sean. I'll have him come ahead a little more.
As soon as he can, this is gonna knock over.
Yeah.
And stop.
Up!
Back up.
Pull back like 3 inches.
Stop.
Up!
That's good. That's 7.
What do you got?
1'9" I got for center on the cribs.
So we're looking for
We had to lay the one
Like
over.
24 on this side, so we can put the roller on top of the beam.
location to the outside wall. We're looking for this elevation like he's talking right now.
26.
Alright, I'll let down.
We had to flip
We're looking for half a foot there.
these two down to do it, so.
Actually, we got 26. Let's roll them up. I'll let down,
Okay.
roll them up, and then actually, I gotta pick up. Pull
Take
this
that roller out?
roller out. And I should be able to let it down far enough.
Yeah.
You can roll them up and then get it centered.
Okay.
And I believe he has got the roller at 90 to the beam
This way out here.
if you're trying to move straight forward, but tweaking it out one way or the other ends up sliding you, migrating you over as you come along it. As you move in, you move to the left or the right like a little bit.
I can go down whatever and then get that other centered in like 24 inches. With a little more smidget logic.
Okay.
Watch this up.
Yeah. Far one? Oh, where do we get them from? Didn't know you were a natural blonde.
Fucking 2-foot long hair. Blonde hair too, right? Alright. I'll run it down, turn the blocks up, and we'll get it centered.
Guy. One more. 2 foot.
Is that good?
I'm at 2 foot.
He's at 2 foot.
Good. Come on.
How far am I away from the wall?
Back a little.
A foot from that wall. Up. 9 inches. 2 foot. 2 foot 4 off the cribbing. Up. 2 inches. Right there. There, good.
Pull that middle roller.
Try that, Sean.
Alright, come over here and get it centered on this crib.
I'm at 2 foot even.
2.5 inches over.
2 foot 2 right there.
Alright, what do you got off the top?
23 right there.
How much is off the tree? 2 inches?
2 inches.
Put the small wedges down there. Cut them right off. Not close, make close tonight.
Yeah.
You want him at the back too? Or is that good enough? You got it? Okay. Coming in through that window well that I've been looking at. Mom's getting Haley started. Yeah. There you go. Can't wait to do this. Hopefully someday soon. Teaching the next generation. Always good, doesn't matter what you go on to do. All of these practical skills, appreciation for the forces that are kinetic and potential that are around you all the time. What it takes to get big stuff done. It's all a part of, it's foundational, no pun intended. Where are we at here? Yeah. Get some photographs of that. Okay, 3-sided concrete window well taken out. Concrete. That one too, that's the same way. So it must have been boards. You can see the lines on there. Formed up with boards and poured, but no deeper than the window well itself. It's just no education on why that's a problem. I mean, the whole thing right away within the first couple of years in this climate, it's just heaving up and down, busting all up. Then you'd say, it doesn't look that broken. It just has to break in one place so that it's a free agent. And then it can just, if you were to watch with a time-lapse camera for 20 years, you'd just watch it do this and this and this and this and this and this over every winter and summer. It doesn't have to necessarily break further, but it broke right off and didn't work worth shit. Make a little path here. This is where that tree had to go. So he can get in here with his beam. I gotta go back.
Down. Set.
Pull the roller out.
Pull the roller out.
Don't get the chair out, Joe.
Okay.
And once I let it down,
So this will give you a sense of some of the issues here, because it's a straight line on the lifting beam, and here's the end of the main beam. Right? Okay, so now we're in here, coming across with these.
This way.
so we're, that hole in between there, them two holes. You know what I mean? 3/4 inches back in that hole.
Okay. There's that.
Yeah, that's why I got that on.
One more. Yep. That worked.
Now got a little baby beam. I guess that's baby beam. That's firstborn. Toddler. Still tipping that. You can see he's light on this side. Try and sneak him in there. This is again, like we were talking, that tree's in the way, never getting in. I'm gonna poke him in the chimney hole, if you know what I mean. See if we can get around there quick enough. It's not even noon yet. Getting this whole thing roughed out with the beams and a half day on site. I love, that's always just an opportunity to say customers are always watching you and kind of a sense of your hours and stuff when they see you, and it's like, don't forget the time to pick all these out of the stack and inventory, get them all on the trailer and buckled down, get them over here. Obviously, stop! I had to handle that quick. Just had a loop of armored cable. I don't know if I can pull that down. I can't. I can. I can pull that down, so. See what he says here. I think he's gonna be irritated. We got the cold air return here still in this electrical. May have to rip it down. We'll see. Back at you in a minute.
Bring her through. Tell him he's gotta go bring the beam towards you.
Yeah. You gotta twist it towards me.
About 6 inches.
6 inches.
Oh, you're hitting it now.
You're in the beam.
You're on it. Well, barely.
Barely.
Needs to just give me a little bit this way and you'll be good. Got it.
Haley?
Just thinking about this pinch point that I'm in, being aware.
It's about 2 foot from the wall.
Get reset outside. I guess he's happy with the depth on it. I was over here waiting to get closer, but now I don't know what you do to keep from being under the main beam. I don't know how we get the new steel in here. It's interesting. I had thought that these needed to come in and bolt up like a ladder inside here so that we end up with one contiguous plane. But it'd be too unhandy, I'm thinking, for all the different applications and all the different distances and lengths you gotta have. And it's nowhere near as strong. And then you gotta start having the end coped so it fits into the profile of the other piece and yada yada yada. So this is gonna be an education for me as well. That looks like a mend right there. A little more.
What are you about now?
10.
10 inches from the wall right now. Out here, you mean?
I don't know what this was. I was looking at that too. I don't know if they just cut rust scale out with a sandblaster. Because if it sits there and holds salty water like in a road application, if this is from a bridge, it continues to carve into it. But if you can cut the scale out, that's it. Okay. That's a long stretch without much action, sorry. And just thinking about this, I know he's done hundreds and hundreds of these, but every compromised structure is a little unique, and I know the bottom of this chimney is basically dog shit, so even if it's just for me, so that someday I have the cojones to do something similar, we'll watch watch him take all this material right out of here and not bat an eye. I mean, it's out of plumb. Almost a foot probably. At least 6 inches. From there basically it diverges. So it's sitting back like that. So it makes you wonder about, you know, it's got its attachment to the house all the way up, but it's also leaned against it basically rather than sitting out in the way. So thinking about that. Same when you're cutting up a tree, thinking about the potential energy that it has. Just a couple guys compromising the shit out of that chimney. Scientifically. Precision. Sorry, I don't have much to say. I don't want to be redundant and irritating, but I don't want to cut and miss anything cool. Don't expect anything that wild to happen, I guess. This is where we had to take the porch off because he could crawl underneath there and hand dig or something stupid, but you saw the piers to that thing. If we had hoped for that, the piers would have just caved off and snapped off. In the end, that little porch room wasn't worth working around. Here's the other half of the pier that broke off on me. Forgot about him. Maybe I'll see if we can't throw him on the pile. Did those lower spots just blow out on you? You didn't chip on that down there. It just fell apart. Yeah. What do we got? 6 inches to spare.
Just enough.
Perfect. Just how I planned it.
I don't know. Easy, hang on a second, Sean. All right there. We got you on the far side of the block. Down.
There you go.
All right, put the roller in.
I can go and watch.
He's gonna have to take his end towards the road.
Take your line towards the road.
On, but you gotta
You're on
go
the
towards
beam.
the road. Do you hear me, Joe?
Yeah. You gotta take this down towards the road. Alright. You can't do much on that and he's kind of stuck in the fireplace.
Alright. Alright.
Ready? Actually, you should probably get that roller out from underneath it up.
That's it.
Yep.
Mom, what do I press? Now you make me so mad.
Yeah, you're making me so mad too.
Haley, let's scoot back a little bit, hon. Just
All right,
over there.
rollers pulled.
Please and thank you. Just over there. Over this way. Just over there. That's good. You're good now. Just gotta let this thing idle, because he's got battery cable. I think it might be shorting on the lid. That's what's going on. That's not good for business.
All the way through the fireplace.
just right, even if anything.
That's fine.
Not quite.
I don't see it. I don't see it. Yeah.
Don't push, I think you'll have it.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
That's an inch there, yeah.
Alright, let's hit this other one.
So these parts here that go through the chimney will be extra rigid, double rigidity. And we'll just clamp them with a C-clamp. Looks like it used to be an upright. It's got an end and bolt holes on it. May have the same thing on the other end of that one. Tell them when it's all the way in there. Looks like they're different lengths, but
So if you put a couple clamps right on the end, don't put them too close so they hit the wall.
Like right here?
Yeah, then we can go on the inside and put a couple. I want to give you a rough idea where I want this.
that's a baby beam. Just born.
Flip all the way so you ain't fighting it.
Hasn't even got its first tooth. That's taking him off the ground back there. Just putting that tension on to get it close enough to clamp. Every time I turn around, he's doing something else. Mrs. Georgie Construction and Georgie Construction Jr. are getting the cribbing level over here with Mr. Joe's help for directly outside and underneath the weight of the chimney. An assembly just like this, but over here. Using the laser plumb to make sure we're getting all set up on the ground, and when we come up we're actually where we're trying to be.
Can you make this again?
Come here.
So I just got back from my lunch and overheard the neighbor outside talking to another about his concerns about Sean's daughter on the site. So I just headed it off and I said, hey, you know, I don't want anybody's kid that age on this site, but Sean's kid on this site is fine. That's where he was when he was her age, I assume. And it's where I was when I was her age on my dad's sites around the farm. So this is where you A, become comfortable under these circumstances, and B, start thinking about where to be and where not to be and why and all of that. Because you're told, don't be there, be here. Don't be here, be there. I can't see you there. Can you see me? Then I can't see you. So move. So don't grab that, grab this. Don't put your hands there. See that? It'll pinch you. This thing here, see it when it fell, when it tipped my whole machine over earlier today? It's very heavy. That whole stick is heavier than this whole thing here. So it's an education. An important education. And again, like I was saying before, whether you go to work in an office building or you do this literally when you grow up, it'll always translate into a better understanding of the world around you. Even if you're just going to lunch in the city and you're walking by a job site, you won't get taken out by something you didn't expect. Well, that's another 6 hours on site. It's just 1:30. Just getting things cleaned up, packed up. All hands on deck. Got stuff parked and ready. Did a walk around and figure what he needed for little extensions here and shorties there, and just to jump around, catch the outside wall, and some other stuff with the chimney. Nothing we haven't already seen being installed probably, but I'll just do one last walk. I'm going to make a couple sticks to... This whole thing is just going to be hanging. And you can see it's cracking open across the top there. It's just sitting off the front of the house. So I think I'm going to make a 2x10 or a 2x12 that just has a bird's mouth that sits on the threshold there. It comes up at an angle and sits here. It'll just be zoop, zoop. Just take one screw or something, probably lower screw, so that it's less visible later when I run it out, instead of having a big ugly hole here. Just the one screw, slapping it tight to either side, and then it should jam, and all that weight will be transferred onto the rim joist and stuff here for the most part, essentially. And this should be in the air. So that just means that I was doing this and I was thinking, I don't want to make this unnecessarily complicated. So, you know, from the side, if we've got the vestibule from the side, and we've got a door, regular height door on this side with the steps out here, and we got a step up, so the regular height door in here is like that, and we've got 82 inches from this point that I want to be at. This is the hole through the wall, and this is the hole through this wall. If it's 82 inches from here to here, and it's 36 inches across, and it's 72 here because it's 84 minus, or it's 80 or something finished, and 8 inches up for a step, so it's 72 over here. That's all I need to know to cut myself something that is basically 2 of those, and they should come right in here and just stick right to the wall. Either screw them into the jam up here, like I say, or screw them in down there. That's what we'll make for that. And so, oh yeah, got the cribbing built underneath this. I wasn't looking. I went and got something to eat quick. So that's about where he's trying to be there. And I had in my head that he had mending plates and big bolt holes and bolts and nuts and that, but I forget, yeah, just monster, serious C-clamping is super common in steel fab, so that'll be how they hold those together there. Tomorrow, the next day, I want to load this pile of shit and the one by the road out of here, so it's just not in anyone's way. Everything that can go out with the rest of the material, you know, composition of the basement itself in those trucks, such as this, without that pipe on it, like I said before, that can just stay here. Today's Sunday. I think Thursday's the trucking day, and I don't think Georgie will be here Friday. I think Friday afternoon we're trying to form and pour the footer, if you can believe it. Which means, you know, this time next week we might even have wall forms up or even filled. I don't know. This working on the weekend thing is ludicrous, but I mean, he's going to go to the next one, the next one, the next one from now until the weather goes bad. He'll have projects like this, bigger or smaller, just back to back to back to back to back. So he wants to move, so we will move. Oh, you know what? I just saw the lights on, so I'm going to go down there and cut the brake, or hit the main breaker, so there's no power here. Oh, the other thing I did was I flipped up the cover. He didn't seem to mind this, but I'd rather not have a chemical fire next to the house while nobody's here. So this comes down and has been hitting the positive contact on the battery, which is a component, I think, to this whole thing, destroying its contact on the end. So I want the contact off of it completely, but I wanted the rubber over that and this down to protect it from the rain, but not heavy, just lightly. Anyway, it's covered and it shouldn't short. And so these can stay plugged in. See you guys, thank you. And I'll unplug them here, but I'll also hit the main. And that's that. Day 2, we'll see ya.